I want the world leaders who are gathering today at J7 meeting to remember about these victims. No matter how much this is being reported in the media, this is the reality. This is what is happening. And people did nothing to deserve that. They were living their lives and they were killed just because Putin decided that he can do that and because he had the money to do so, because he was buying weapons from the West for the last 8 years after he annexed Crimea, and because right now European Union itself is sending 1 billion euros every day to Russia for gas and oil.
Ukraine is very much centre stage at these G7 discussions. Lots of world leaders wanting to make sure that everybody stays the course in terms of supporting Ukraine. But of course, there are still huge problems in Ukraine. Large explosions resounded through Kiev earlier this morning. The city's mayor says that a person has died and several have been wounded and that a building has been damaged in the missile attack. Well, joining us now is the deputy opposition leader for the Holos Party in Ukraine, Inna Sovsun. Inna, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So just give us an update on the situation in Kyiv. What's been happening there?
Well, right now, literally 10 minutes ago, we got air raid alerts all over the country again, and that is the third time since early this morning. We are now cautiously waiting about what is about to happen, because what we're seeing today is dozens of missiles targeting different cities, Kiev, but then also Cherkasy in the center of Ukraine, Odessa in the south, and now again air raid alerts all over the country. So we don't know what is going to happen. But of course, Kiev is again terrified about what has been happening. Unfortunately, we know that at least one person died in this attack, and they have hit the residential building. Again, this is the same building that they have hit before, and then they did it again. We are waiting to know what will happen to other people who got injured in the attack, and again, waiting if other missiles will try to hit the city.
Well, Inna, thank you very much for that update. And it is a reminder that even though the issue of Ukraine, might have sort of fallen down the news agenda, the conflict is very, very real for all of you living through this on a day-by-day moment. We just heard from our reporter who is at the G7 saying that Ukraine is still going to be very much on the agenda for the G7. What is your message to leaders? There's a G7 meeting and, of course, there's a NATO summit as well. What is your message to those world leaders?
I'm now driving from western Ukraine to Kiev, and I was just passing through a small village. And we were going through near the cemetery, and I saw four new graves with people who were killed in this war in a small village. 4 people who have been killed. And it's just devastating. And I want the world leaders who are gathering today at J7 meeting to remember about these victims. No matter how much this is being reported in the media, this is the reality. This is what is happening. And people did nothing to deserve that. They were living their lives and they were killed just because Putin decided that he can do that and because he had the money to do so, because he was buying weapons from the West for the last 8 years after he annexed Crimea, and because right now European Union itself is sending 1 billion euros every day to Russia for gas and oil. And this is the money that they're using to pay salaries to people who are killing those Ukrainians every single day. What needs to happen is the world needs to finally decide what it is going to do. It cannot continue to help Ukraine and at the same time fund Russian economy. That needs to stop right now. I know it can be difficult for the economies of the West, but imagine the life of this 7-year-old girl who was hit in her home today with her father killed for no good reason. Imagine her life, how much more difficult it got. I want them to think about those people who are being targeted by Putin for no good reason and actually take active steps, primarily stopping any trade with Russia right now.
And, Inna, you make a powerful argument, but Joe Biden has said, look, we should be banning Russian gold imports. But I presume to you that is not enough. You want a ban on oil and gas. You think that's the thing that will really hurt Russia?
That will really hurt Russia, definitely. That needs to happen. European Union cannot pretend that it's helping Ukraine while sending so much money to Russia now. It needs to happen. I know, again, it's going to be difficult, but it's nothing compared to lives lost here in nonsensical war.
And Inna,
we are rather pessimistic, given what was happening so far.
And
we still have to ask that.
Yeah, I mean, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just conscious of time. I mean, we've been discussing a lot on my show about a lot of domestic and financial problems that people are having. And this will be the same in many other G7 countries, and inflation going up, people not having enough money, wanting more support from the government. Do you worry that many countries are going to say, actually, we have helped Ukraine, but now we have to help our own citizens in this really, really difficult economic time? I mean, do you see that tension may arise quite soon? And how do you think leaders should navigate that?
Well, I think that this is precisely the question of political leadership. Political leaders need to take responsibility in explaining why Russia today is not just a danger to Ukraine, it's actually the danger to the whole world. Because in case the West stops helping Ukraine, and let's imagine worst case scenario, they take over the whole country, they will go further. They will go to Poland, they will go to the Baltic states. What will those people say then? Will they continue saying that, we need to take care of ourselves first? Because they will come to you. It's just that we are the ones who are stopping Russians from coming to other European countries right now. And that is what I want you to remember.
Well, Inna, we're really grateful for your time. Final question before you go. Our Prime Minister has had a really hard time at the moment here. But what do Ukrainians think about Boris Johnson?
Well, I think overall, for whatever reasons that I don't want to comment on, but Boris Johnson has been great in terms of speaking truth about what is in Ukraine and explaining to the world what needs to be done in order to help Ukraine and to save the world from Putin. So I think he has a very big level of support from Ukrainians just because he is being bold and very specific in what he's saying.